On the 2nd of August 2017, South Africa lost one of its most loved television personality, Dumi Masilela. He was an actor, a singer, a presenter, and a newly married husband with a future that appeared to be just beginning. On that night, a violent criminal spree was unfolding across Gauteng. It began with a hijacking, then came a kidnapping, robbery, another attempted robbery, and then at approximately 8:20 p.m., a Volkswagen Golf 7 would cross path with a group of armed men. Inside the car was Dumi Masilela. He tried to drive away, but his car moved from the scene. A gunman allegedly fired. Dumi was hit. Despite being seriously wounded, he managed to drive himself to the hospital. Doctors fought to save him, but Dumi would not survive. What happened that night would devastate a family, shatter a newlywed wife, and leave an entire country asking how another talented South African life could be taken so violently. This is the story of Dumi Masilela. The life he built, the love he found, and the terrifying night that changed everything. This is True Crime Unlocked. Before Dumi Masilela became the center of a national tragedy, he was a man known for his talent and personality. He was an actor, a television personality, a musician, a performer who had worked hard to build a name for himself in the entertainment industry. But fame was only one part of his identity. To his family, he was a son. To his friends, he was someone they knew beyond the cameras. And to actress Simphiwe Ngema, he was a man she loved. Their relationship captured the attention of many South Africans. They were young, successful, and seemingly building a beautiful life together. When they got married, it marked the beginning of what should have been an exciting new chapter, a future together, plans, dreams, memories waiting to be created. But no one could ever imagine how quickly everything could change. Their marriage had barely begun, and then came August the 2nd, 2017, a night that would become permanently connected to Dumisani's name. According to police, the event that led to Dumi Masilela's death was part of a broader crime spree. That night, 7 men allegedly moved through Gauteng committing a series of violent crimes. Their first known victim was a man named Sizwe Ngobile Shabangu. Shabangu had packed his Jeep Wrangler. In Davidton, Ekurhuleni, what should have been an ordinary moment quickly became terrifying. According to the police, a group of men approached him. They were traveling in a Toyota Quantum. Shabangu was allegedly robbed of his Jeep Wrangler. But the ordeal did not end with the theft of his vehicle. He was allegedly forced into the back of the Jeep. His belongings were taken. The group then traveled in both vehicles. One vehicle followed the other, and together they moved towards Tembisa. At this point, the night was already marked by fear. A man had allegedly been robbed and kidnapped, but the alleged crime spree was not over, not even close. At approximately 8:20 p.m., the group arrived in Lebombo Street in Tembisa, and then they saw a Volkswagen Golf 7. The vehicle belonged to Dumi Masilela. According to prosecution, the men stopped their vehicle. One of the accused allegedly got out and approached the Golf. The alleged intention was to rob the driver, but Dumi did something that may have saved him from being taken hostage. He drove away. For a few moments, it may have seemed as though he had escaped, but then a shot was fired. According to NPA, the accused fired at the moving vehicle. The bullet struck Dumi Masilela. In an instant, an attempted robbery had turned into a national tragedy. Dumi was wounded, bleeding, and fighting for his life. But somehow, he continued driving. Imagine being behind the wheels of your car after being shot. The pain, the panic, the uncertainty. Yet, Dumi Masilela reportedly managed to drive himself to the hospital. It was a desperate fight for survival. Doctors performed a surgery. Family and loved ones hoped for the best, but the injuries were too severe. Dumi Masilela died. The news traveled quickly, and South Africa was shocked.
When I got to the hospital, the first thing Dumi said to me was, "Askisinan, I'm so sorry." He didn't look like he was gonna pass on. He looked strong. And I looked at him and I was like, "You the one that's hurting and you saying sorry to me." But Dumi had God in him. Dumi lived for God. Dumi had amazing strength. And he takes his strength from his mom and from God. Because his mom also spoke at Dad's funeral. Dumi also spoke at Dad's funeral. And right now I feel like he's given me all his strength. I cry. I break down and I ask a lot of questions. But I also ask myself, where do I get the strength from? Because even when people say to me, they say, "You are so strong." And I'm like, I don't feel like it. It doesn't seem.
For many people, Dumi was someone they had watched on television, someone whose face was familiar, someone who had made them laugh or entertain them. But for those closest to him, the tragedy was much more personal. A mother had lost her son, a family had lost a loved one, and a young wife had lost her husband. One of the most heartbreaking parts about Dumi's story is the life he had only just began building with Simphiwe Ngema. The couple had just been married for 2 months when Dumi was murdered. 2 months. For most newlyweds, this period is filled with excitement, learning how to build a life together, creating new memories, planning the future. But Simphiwe's reality changed overnight. Instead of celebrating the beginning of a marriage, she was forced to confront the unimaginable. The man she had promised to spend her life with was gone, and grief became part of her life. But Simphiwe's journey through grief was not private. South Africa watched, people followed her story. They saw moments of heartbreak, moments of strength, and eventually moments where she began speaking about healing and learning how to move forward. But moving forward does not mean forgetting. For many families affected by violent crimes, life becomes divided into 2 parts, life before and life after. And for Simphiwe, August the 2nd, 2017 became one of those dividing lines. And while Dumi was fighting for his life, another victim was still living through the terror of that night. According to the prosecution, Sizwe Ngobile Shabangu remained in the hands of the group. The man allegedly drove towards Galfontein. They reportedly tried to remove the tracking system from the stolen jeep. Shabangu was allegedly forced to provide the PIN for his bank card. Money was withdrawn. He was eventually left in Ivory Park. The stolen jeep was later abandoned in Ebony Park. The allegations showed the scale of the night's event. This was not simply one robbery gone wrong. The prosecution's case described a series of crimes moving from one victim to another, one location to another, and eventually ending with Dumi Masilela's death. But the story was still not over. After Dumi's death, investigators began the difficult task of tracing those responsible. According to the prosecution, one of the accused was arrested 5 days later. The arrest reportedly happened on the 7th of August 2017. The suspects were arrested for possession of an unlicensed firearm, but the remaining suspects had allegedly fled. Their next destination was Rustenburg, and according to NPA, they allegedly continued committing crimes even after leaving Gauteng. The investigation now stretched across provinces. Police were searching for men accused of being involved in murder, robbery, kidnapping, and other violent crimes. The pressure was mounting, and slowly the group began to fall apart. According to prosecution, while in Rustenburg, the remaining men allegedly hijacked a Ford Ranger. The people inside the vehicle were robbed of their belongings. Cash was taken. The amount was approximately 1,800, but the victims' ordeal allegedly went even further. Their hands and feet were tied. They were then left in the veldt near Mili village. Once again, innocent people were allegedly left terrified and helpless. But the continued crimes also created more evidence, more victims, and more witnesses, more links between the accused and the growing investigation. On the 8th of August 2017, one of the accused was arrested in Rustenburg. Police allegedly found him in possession of the Toyota Quantum connected to the earlier crimes. He was also allegedly found with a cell phone belonging to one of the robbery victims. Days later, another accused handed himself over to the police. The remaining suspects would eventually be arrested in 2018. One by one, the men accused of participating in the criminal spree were taken into custody. But arrest was only the beginning. The real test would come in court. For the Masilela family, justice does not arrive overnight. Court cases take time, investigation takes time, and trials take time. And while the legal system moves forward, families continue living with their loss. Dumi's mother, Sabata Masilela, eventually took to the stand to describe the devastating impact of her son's death. She explained that losing Dumi had affected her entire family. The grief became so overwhelming that she struggled to cope. According to the testimony, the impact was so severe that she eventually lost her job as a teacher. Her story revealed something important about violent crimes. The victim is not the only person whose life changes. Families carry the consequences. Parents are left with unanswered questions, and partners are left with empty spaces. And sometimes the emotional damage affects every part of a person's life. Sabata Masilela's pain was not something a prison sentence could erase, but she still hoped for accountability. She still wanted the justice system to recognize what had been taken from her family. Eventually, the 5 men appeared before the Pretoria High Court. The charges were serious. They included murder, kidnapping, possession of a firearm, possession of ammunition, theft, robbery with aggravated circumstances, attempted murder. The prosecution presented its case around the events of that night and the crimes that allegedly followed. The trial brought the details of the August 2nd, 2017 back into the public eye. For years, South Africans had remembered Dumi's death. Many followed developments in the case. There was a strong public desire to see those responsible held accountable. Because Dumi's murder had become about more than a celebrity, it became another painful example of South Africa's struggle with violent crimes. A person could leave home and never return. A routine journey could become a crime scene, and a robbery could become a murder within seconds. Years after the shooting, the case reached a major turning point. The 5 men were convicted. For Dumi's family, it was an important moment. After years of waiting, the court had reached its decision. Dumi Masilela reportedly thanked the prosecutor and the judge. She said the process had helped restore her faith in the justice system. But justice and closure are not always the same thing. A conviction can establish accountability. A sentence can punish a crime, but neither can bring back a loved one. Dumi was still gone. The wedding photographs still existed. The memories still existed. The dream still existed. But the person at the center of those memories was no longer there. The people accused of killing Dumi did not only take a life. According to testimony from his mother, the consequences reached deep into the family. His death changed how they lived, how they worked, and how they remembered, and how they saw the world. That is a true cost of violent crime. It doesn't end at the crime scene. An entire family's future changed forever. His name continues to live through the people who loved him, through the work he left behind, and through the memories of life that ended far too soon.
When Daddy passed away, Dumi and I had to go identify the body. And I remember when we got there, the nurse was like, "You guys are so young. Baba bantu abadala." But Dumi was so strong. And I think that's where I get my strength from right now. When I went to see his body yesterday, it wasn't him. I felt like I was looking at his suit. And I remembered what he said, that our bodies are just that. They are just that. He has brought new meaning to the words, to live is Christ and to die is gain. We might ask questions. I had a lot of questions. I was like, God, 5 years ago, I didn't even know this guy. Why bring him into my life so I can depend on him only to take him away? But God is still God. And what comforts me is the fact that I saw God in Dumi. God lived through him. And for me, I could never fit in with other people, with my peers, because I'm also a spiritual person, and I felt like sometimes I was too deep. But when I met him, I saw a reflection of myself, and I was like, finally, someone who understands, someone who won't judge me.
Dumi Masilela was more than just a final victim of a crime spree. He was a son, a husband, an actor, a man whose life was taken far too soon. The convictions may have brought the family closer to justice, but justice could never replace what was lost. And years later, the question remains hauntingly simple. How many lives can one night of violence destroy? This is True Crime Unlocked. For more true crime stories, please do subscribe, like, comment, and share.